Hello, eighth grade. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have your notes for Chapter 5, The Spirit of Independence. And we're going to take a look at Section 1, No Taxation Without Representation. This whole idea that the American colonists were being, you know, stuck with the bill for the French and Indian War. And that's kind of where this all begins. In 1763, the British issued this proclamation of 1763, that pretty much kind of started controlling the behavior of our colonists. Basically said that the colonists could not live on Native American lands that were west of the Appalachian Mountains. Colonists would have to live closer to the coast, the Atlantic coast, that is. And this made it easier for the British to control their behavior. It also allowed the British to control the trade of animal furs. King George III, who you see pictured below in the lovely golden outfit, he sent 10,000 troops to occupy the colonies and to enforce this proclamation of 1763, much to the disgruntledness of our colonists. The British needed revenue to support these troops, and so King George III also placed new taxes on the colonists. So the colonists, they tried to avoid the taxes by smuggling goods in from the Caribbean. There were a number of individuals that had these little boats that could move very quickly and to get around some of the blockades that maybe the British had established. In 1763, Prime Minister George Grenville encouraged Parliament to pass a law that was aimed at stopping the smuggling. And so they came up with something called the Writ of Assistance, which basically has a lot to do with searching and seizing goods. So they had the right to search shops and all warehouses and homes for smuggled goods. And if you had something that was, kind of contraband, you might end up in jail. And if you remember our colonial punishments, that might not be pretty. Other laws that were taxing the colonists between 1764 and 1767, you had the Sugar Act, which kind of starts off nice. It's the idea that the British were going to lower the cost or the taxes on molasses. But the whole idea by doing this is so that the colonists would stop smuggling goods in from the Caribbean. They would stop, trying to buy their sugar there. In 1765, the Stamp Act put a tax on printed paper, and that would include things like newspaper, stationery, playing cards. And it wasn't quite like a postage stamp, so to think. If you think about the stamp as maybe being more of a watermark, if you went to buy newspaper or stationery or cards, this watermark had to be on anything that was paper product. And if it didn't, then it was probably contraband. So as a result of this expensive paper, the colonists boycotted British goods. And those boycotts helped end the Stamp Act. It didn't last very long. But Parliament strikes back. They have another act up their sleeves. So the Declaratory Act, 1766, this gave Parliament pretty much the right to tax and make decisions in the British colonies in all cases. In other words, exclusive taxation and exclusive rights to make all decisions. This was not very popular. 1767, we have the Townshend Act. This placed more taxes on goods that were imported to the colonies, so that means your prices are going up. Some colonists began to, again, make their own goods rather than to buy from Great Britain. So, how did our colonists protest these laws? Some continued to smuggle goods that were non British goods into the colonies. You had boycotting of goods that were made in Great Britain. Sam Adams, who is probably better known as being a brewer in this day and age, but he was also a founding father. He started an organization known as the Sons of Liberty. And those guys were sneaky. They're going to do all sorts of crazy things that we're going to hear about later. Colonists also burned effigies of tax collectors. What's an effigy? It's like somebody who makes like a stuffed replica of a person. It kind of reminds me of like a scarecrow. And then they would, hang them, or they would tar and feather them, or perhaps maybe burn them. Yeah, it sounds kind of scary. Anyway, delegates also gathered for the Stamp Act Congress, and they wrote a resolution that kind of fell upon deaf ears in Great Britain. Women made cloth at home instead of buying British made cloth. And also, women organized a group known as the Daughters of Liberty, kind of in conjunction maybe with the Sons of Liberty. They're also going to be very involved in helping kind of this rebellion, primarily in New England during the course of the war. So, thank you very much.